Welcome to Oxygen Not Included. I'm River, and I just wanted to let you guys know that this game is on sale for like $16 or $17 or 35% off. I imagine it's well, I guess it depends on what price it was originally in your country. You get the idea. So I thought maybe we'd play just a little bit so you guys could see what it was about. Definitely a game I have enjoyed. We could do survival or no sweat. Obviously, you know, it's just a matter of which is harder or which is not. So if we did survival, this would be our coordinates. I don't know if that's the same thing as a world seed. This is a little bit different game settings. Okay, there's the world gen seed if you wanted to see what that was about. I'm not sure exactly what that location. This is a little bit new to me. It's been a while since I played, but I saw it was on sale. I thought, well, let me share it with you guys. So, and I know there's some things that are in here that weren't. So let's start the game. Now, the first thing we should have to do is pick our dupes. And we want to find some people that are pretty decent without going too nuts on it. I don't know if you guys want to see more or see a series, let me know. I'd be happy to do one. But like I said, this is more just almost like a Rever's recommendations, I think is where I'll categorize it. Squeamish is a good thing to get, other than you don't want all of them to be squeamish, and they will learn things. Research is a nice one to get. If we re-roll them, narcoleptic, a lot of times I go almost more on, so we don't want them all to be, the same negative squeamish or else they can't do. Now we'll get more of them, so it's probably not a huge problem. This guy does cooking and building. That's not a bad guy to have. And, strength is another good one to have because they can carry more. So we can make this guy a carrier, but he's already a cook, right? We're trying to get rid of, loud sleepers, kind of a bad one, though you can build them in their own separate bedroom, which is not a bad thing to do anyway. Squeamish, gastrophobic, won't cook, right? Maybe we'll get this one. They're a little pus in a couple things. So this won't be a bad starting dupe. And then ranching, not my favorite one to get to start out. Tidying and building, good combination. Don't want the loud sleeper. Don't mind the squeamish now that we got rid of the other ones, right? Athletics is a pretty good one to get to. Construction. Why don't we just go with these? Good enough. Impenetrable Acropolis, because why not? It's the name of our colony down there. All right, so we start out with our little dupes here. Now, again, I don't know how much has changed, so I'm not some expert at this game at this point. But we will take a look. And first thing I always like to do with this game in particular is pause it and have a look around at our map. So what we have here is copper ore, which is very important. There is other types of ore, but you can't get them in this starting zone. So it's a little hard to see, but you'll see we have different temperature overlays. So yeah, it's a big thing in the game. When you get out of your starting zone is like a nice place for them to be. And then you have these hot, and you can see down here there's like some cold zones. The different zones have different things, but you want to try to keep them at a nice, I do Fahrenheit 72, which is probably about what, like 20 some, 22, something like that, Celsius. Your preference. You can switch it back and forth easily enough. We have power overlay. Oxygen is a big thing in the game. Now here we're looking, if we close this for a second, they have these oxalite, which will give us some initial oxygen to get going. So that's another cool thing. And we're going to need water. I like this little starting spot. We got plenty of metal. There's also this algae here, and that's important because that's how we'll make oxygen a little bit later on, right? And then sand is good for filtering things, and then we have to get some food going. So you want to look for these meal woods. If you get a bunch of them, there's a couple more meal woods here. So not too many, which is not great. There's a few. Bristle blossom, I think that's another thing that'll get us some food. But anyway, what we want to do, if you notice, we can't build anything down here because we don't have anything. So the first thing we need to do is dig out some stuff. Now the game, they can reach 4 tiles, so they can like reach up to here to dig out. Now we might not want to dig out everything like that every time because it'll take them a little bit of extra time, right? So what I'll do is have them start digging that, and then we can start up time. They'll all head over there and start digging it out, right? And maybe we'll just dig out this way. That'll get us some metal. And in addition to that, we can, once we start getting a few things, we can come in here to furniture. And they're going to want beds very quickly, but almost more importantly than a bed, they're going to want a toilet, right? So, and that's going to become a problem because if they don't have a toilet, they will cause problems. Now, I like to usually make the initial platform, this middle platform, this is my own preference, you can design however you want, 10 wide, and it's already 8, right? And you can do it different if you want. So if I came over to here, and we could dig a ladder down to here, and then another thing to do, we could build this in a place they can't build it, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, they'll be able to build it here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is actually the height of the floor. So this kind of works out perfect. We can come right down here to plumbing and put in, oops, I messed it up. Plumbing, put in an outhouse or two. All right, now we want to leave some room where we can, this would be where a doorway could go, like right here. And then I want to leave room for like 2 sinks now that I think about it. Really would like to get rid of this plant. Or we could just put this over too. So eventually we could have 3 outhouses in here, right? And I can uproot this and uproot this guy. So there we go. So right off the bat, we've kind of got a little bit of a grid set up where we'll be, 4 deep, 4 deep. Now we don't have to stick with that entirely. And sometimes I like to not stick with that. We can start planning things out a little bit. And again, if we don't dig out, they can't get to this stuff. So we can kind of tell them to dig when we want, right? We said we wanted that to be 10 wide. So there we go. So then we'd have a ladder down this way as well eventually. And again, if we don't dig it out, right? Now this kind of puts this out of place. So I probably want to come over here and cancel that one. And then what I'll do is come down another row. Now they'll be able to build this, which is okay. But because they can build that, what I'm going to do is say, let's put in a couple storage bins like here and here. And I'll also tell them to dig. I should use the keys. Dig that out. But we want to make sure that this is the priority, these toilets. So we can go over here and say, well, no, I want this to be priority 6, say, right? So do this before you do anything else, right? So now the problem is when they go down there, they're running out of oxygen. So another thing that we want to do is potentially dig this down even further, because the CO2 will fall to the bottom of the map and the oxygen will tend to rise, right? And then the other thing is it has to do with the pressure, right? So this has 1,300 very breathable oxygen. This has 1,000, this has 900, so the oxygen will make its way down here eventually. So the other thing we could probably do to help get a little bit more oxygen down there, let's hit G, right, instead of, right, we can come here and dig out on either side of this, and that'll help oxygen flow down here a bit more. But really our goal, next goal would be to get some furniture. So after they get those things built. Now again, I'm going to put a wall like right here, right? So I don't want to be where my wall is, but I'm going to put up 3 beds. But that worked out. I did not really plan that well. I knew I wanted to put my beds over here. Now a lot of this stuff we can move later on, right? Now another thing that we're going to need in the whole plumbing category, medicine, is a wash basin because they can pollute themselves. So again, we're going to have a door. And then we'll have these 2 guys here. Now, you can raise the priority of working on that this way, right? And then another thing we're going to want is in plumbing. It's going to be a pitcher pump. And we should be able to put that right here. And I'll make that let's get the plumbing going. This is where they'll pump water out that they can then put manually. They'll have to drag it over to the sinks here. And because germs are a big thing in this game. Right, so we'll get that going. And then let's start. We can put in, like I said, we're going to build like doors here, right? So what I'll do then is we'll put in a pneumatic door. That could be the lower priority. Now we want to tell this that we want to set the direction to the right so that when they leave having pooped, they can come over and go to the right. Right? So now what they'll do, you'll see pretty high priority of keeping this full. Somebody will go over, get some water, and put it into our sinks. And then there they go. So they'll build up their storage, right? So that's good. Now another thing we could do is put a couple more tiles here and another door here. And that won't hurt them because they'll be able to have a bedroom. So another thing about this game is rooms. So right now we don't have any, but once we finish that, see this just turned into a latrine. So they get a little bit of a bonus for having a nice room to poop in. And then the same thing will happen if we can finish that bedroom at that point too. Now we have to watch out because, yeah, she should be able to get out of there. But we'll tell her to dig this anyway. Right. Come on. What's she doing? Yeah, there you go. I don't know why she hesitated like that. So this is like what you want to get done the first day. This game gets much, much, much more advanced. But this is just trying to get them, you know, the stuff they need in the first day. And they start pooping and peeing, well, really peeing all over the place is the issue when they don't have an outhouse to go to. Now up here we have the cycle, right? So you can see how far along the cycle. The piece of pie out of that cycle is when they're going to go to sleep. So they only have a little bit more. And then they also have like recreation time, like right before that cycle ends. So we didn't quite get all of our cots made, which means some people will be sleeping on the ground. But see how they run right over to the bathroom when they get done? And then I didn't see him wash his hands. That's a little discouraging. Oh, he went up there to, because he was holding his breath. This one washed his hands. Is he going to go back down there and wash his hands? Now, let's see. We do have a germ overlay. Now, fortunately, he didn't bring germs out with him, but if he did, you'd see the germs coming out. So, yeah, we have to do something to get rid of some of the CO2. Now, if we do, in the old days, it used to be better, in my opinion. Let's look at, this is the oxygen overlay. It used to tell you exactly what gases were in your environment, where now it's a little bit different, but we want to try to get, you can see it's worked its way down a little bit, right? But we really just don't have enough oxygen coming in here. And what you want to do potentially is dig out more of this so that there's more of a basin for that stuff to fall into. So let's go ahead and take care of that. All right, we'll dig all the way down to here. Now I also like to come along and do the 1, 2, 3, 4, right? If we're going to dig out, you know, try to get an idea of where our floors would be if we had floors, right? Now we can also go up and dig up, but at this point, you know, they're going to be doing enough. So let's come in here. Let me get out of that mode for a second. Let's get out of this oxygen overlay mode. So another thing, we're going to create heat when we start doing more stuff. And by more stuff, I mean, we're going to want to have research and electrical generation. And a lot of that time that stuff creates heat. You don't want it to be right in the center of your base. So what I want to do now is, oops, wrong one, is come up here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be, I don't want to ruin the oxalate there, even by chance. But then I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then we can put this here just to show they won't be able to build that until they can dig this out. But if we were to come all the way up to here, that would leave a floor in between. And again, how you do your base is completely up to you. And how you start out, you don't really even have to. There is no right way to do it, I guess, especially in the very beginning, other than to get to the point you can survive. As you build up your base, you know, things get better and better. We can also put another block here and here, right? And then eventually we could build another ladder up this way. Now we do want to start, you know, considering getting food, but we really can't do too much until if we come into the research here. We can't even go into the research. So we need to come in and look for stations down here. We need to build a research center. The other thing we can do is power. We can build one of these manual generators. We have to attach it with wire to a battery or two. Now, how many you do is up to you. In the beginning, you only have 3 dupes. And those 3 dupes, you know, are working their butts off, hopefully. Keep them busy, and you should be okay. I mean, you can do things in the wrong order and mess it up, but there we go. They're digging down here. Now, the other thing I want to do is let's dig out some more of this. Now, you don't want to dig too close to the water because if you get within especially if it's deep water, you'll have a problem. So the other thing we don't want to do is get too far into this hotter area, right? If we can even dig it. Sometimes you can't dig certain stones. But I just sort of want to dig out, you know, an area for this stuff to fall into. Right? So we just a little bit of extra space so that this CO2 tends to start falling down into here. So I'll be able to widen up this a little bit. Sometimes I don't like to do this. Depends on the map you get. Because then if they do start to clean up this stuff and put it into our storage containers, we're going to have a problem. So now here's something else to keep in mind. Cultivatable soil. At some point, some of the... Or is it organic? No, it's cultivatable soil. You're going to get like poopy soil. So you don't want that to be... Because it sends out pollution, right? So we're going to just put this on all and then make sure that it's not an option, which it isn't because we haven't cleaned these things out. I'm going to tell them to uproot this guy. And then once we do, what I want to do is I'm going to put... Actually, I want them to dig this out a little bit more, too. Right. Yeah, dig out at least... you know what, we can go a little more because we should be all right with that water over there. Because we have 2 layers. Even if one of the layers is sand, we should be good. And then eventually, and I don't think we can do it yet, we get refinement, and that'll let us get a compost pile. And like I said, we're going to have 3 of these. Well, you know what? We don't have enough room. We might have to move this toilet over or just leave it as a 2 toilet. But I kind of like to put a wall right here. And I'm pretty sure that refinement thing is only 2 wide. So what I'd like to do is come over here and put a storage bin. Right? And then we'll put like a tile. And then eventually have like a pneumatic door. Oops. Right, and then at some point we want to get a floor all the way across there. I don't know if that's the smartest thing to have them order. I'd like to get some of this stuff going on the research too. So, how do we want to do this? Decor is a thing. So if they can see all these wires and stuff, it's not good. So let's start out with the research station. All right, and I'm going to put that like right here again. I don't usually ever put a door on this one. And I want to dig out this. And let's dig this. Oop, I don't want to dig that one. Oh no, the oxalate is disappearing. See that it only lasts so long. So then the next thing I want to do is come over here and get power. Right, and then let's go ahead and put a couple batteries here. Now the batteries will heat things up, but they'll keep it so that they don't have to run. Now what I'm going to do is not hook up this research station until we get these other things done. I want to dig out this metal while we're over there. Right, so you can see now our oxygen's made it all the way down to here. And, well, yeah, we really, you know what, let's prioritize again. Come over here. We'll just give this a 6. Now you can do a lot of different priorities, but I'd like them to get us to where we can research because it's more important to me than worrying about that bathroom floor. Alright, so we got a nice little start here. I guess we'll get to the point we do some well, now that we built the station, we can pick the research, so we can take a look at it. Oh, geez. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see that. I didn't expect to be able to zoom out quite that far. Things have changed a little bit, right? Farming, that's definitely probably the first thing we want to get so that we can start growing food. So let's go ahead and select that so they'll start working on it. Yeah, that's right. We'll probably, it's good to get some of these things. If you look, you have power. We can get a better battery that's going to put off less heat. We can get combustion. You guys can see there's all kinds of different things that you can automate, like the food, animals, solid material. Yeah, so this is like making different metals and whatnot. So you want to get this refinement, then other future things. Colony development. Yeah, we want to get this water cooler pretty quickly. Pharmacologically, it's important to have medicine, probably not the highest priority. Plumbing and liquids. We have bathrooms and all kinds of things to increase their happiness and their cleanliness. Gases, we can air condition areas, and there's different biomes in here. So we do hazard protection where we need exosuits, and that way they can go out into the hot and cold areas and not have so many different problems, and without oxygen and stuff like that. We need to decorate things so that they stay happy. Computers, this is basically, programmability to all of these things. And rocketry is not something I've ever done, but apparently after you get done your computer research, more or less, and exosuit research, you can go into space, which is kind of one of the things I would like to do. So let's see. I think we might have stayed paused while we were in that screen, but in any event, we'll get up to this, kind of the end of the day 2 here. What else would we do? So we build this out, we get this done. The next step after this, like I said, is probably to create an area for the food to be grown. And if I'm looking at this map, we got some water over here, but that's all close to this. We could probably combine these 2 water sources by digging out, and that water will flow down into here. Use up the water here, and then eventually you have to go off and find other sources of water. Sometimes it's contaminated. As you see, as we climbed up the ladder here, you can see we exposed more of the area. There's these remnants, or of past cultures, I guess you could say, where you might get different bonuses and whatnot to your dupes if they go in there and find stuff. I'm not sure what this door is for. You can't really see in there, right? But then you have these different weird creatures that do different things, and here's polluted water, which you could potentially clean up, and so there's also these geysers that give you natural gas. I don't see any right here on this map that close. I mean, we haven't explored yet, but you kind of have to explore the map. If you go way down below, there tends to be oil, and it gets very hot. The center of the earth kind of idea. All right, so now another thing, I know what we can do we can talk about the priorities that the dupes have, right? So remember, we picked different skills. This guy's good at construction, and other things. So attacking, we could also set like what all the new duplicants get automatically. So one of the things I like to do when it comes to cooking, only have one that's got it as a priority, right? So we'll take these 2 off of that. Same thing with the researching. We want to get whoever our best researcher is. Was that? I thought we had one. Yeah, science here, Stinky. So we want Stinky to be our researcher. Now, if we get a better person, right, we'll have somebody else do it. So we can also put this on X, and we'll put this on X. So if we get new dupes, they won't by default. Now, decorating is another thing that we want to put on X. Now, I think we could actually set them all one way or the other. Yep, they're done day 2. What else? Well, we could start micromanaging what they do to some extent, right? So we have ours picked for the researching and cooking, because that's 2 things that they don't tend to do enough. And one of the things I like to do is sort of start setting the people that are better. Like this guy's better at operating, right? Better at building. And I don't know if you guys can see that that's a little bit pink, but the higher their skills, the more that is. And if nothing else, we've just sort of highlighted what these particular dupes can do. Now, if we really want them to do the cooking, we can also go like that, right? So this isn't a bad idea. Oops, I really don't want that. I want this. All right, so that is our researcher. They'll always go to do research, where this is more of like a priority to go do it. So let's just check their skills. Machinery, which is operating, construction, which is building, and cuisine. So now it doesn't mean that's all they'll end up doing, right? They'll just tend to look towards it. So Stinky here also has excavating, digging. All right, so we'll give him. Now, it doesn't really make that much difference. They'll all get better at stuff. Machinery, athletics means that he's going to be better at things like tidying or supplying. Right? So where is supplying? Where's tidying? There's tidying, right? So we could have him tend to do the tidying. Science, creative, agriculture. We could have him tend to do the farming. Now, hopefully we'll get another dupe here that has some different skills than these people. And you can pick the dupes when they come. And that's a good thing, too. So now let's take a look at our oxygen overlay that quickly. See how we're getting it down? Now part of our problem is going to be generating enough oxygen. And there's a little bit of oxalate over here that's pumping away. And is there any over here? Yeah, there's a little bit right here. So we could probably bust into these areas. All right, we'll dig out this stuff. Now, they would have a hard time doing that. Except for we'll come back in here real quick and put in tile floor. All right, at least over to a certain point. And then what we can plan on doing, we have our power and it's fully generating. Oh, but you know what we didn't do? We didn't hook up. Now, by the way, we can also set the priority before we build things, right? So I can do that and it'll make it a priority 6. But I also want to bring the power. A lot of times, you know, I have a debate, but a lot of times for the starter, I just bring it right down the ladder, right? But what I want to do is come over to here with that, and then I want to go to this oxygen tab and put in an oxygen diffuser, right? And I'll just put that like right here. Now remember, I'm building all of this as a level 6 priority, so they should get right on it. Right, even though the priority may get messed up with the digging versus the other. There we go. So now we should be able to do research. Select a research. Didn't we do farming? Yeah. Oops. And close. So why isn't our researcher doing research? Oh, probably because they have other priorities, right? So let's go check that. Now, I thought I put them on a double. Yeah, probably. Well, no, decorating. Stinky. Get up there and start researching. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, he just had to finish his last task, I think. There we go. So we'll get our oxygen diffuser going. And we've spent about a half an hour, which was my intention. And like I said, it's on sale on Steam until the 16th of March, which is this will go up today. I'll just like put it up kind of whenever it's ready to go. And so this is the 13th. But so if you're watching this in the future, it might not be on sale anymore. But if you're watching it in the next day or two. And like I said, let me know if you want me to continue our little colony here. This was a fast little get going. I mean, there's probably 1,000 videos just like this one out there of getting started. But it's a game I'm tempted to start playing again now that it's been brought back to my attention. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. I appreciate any likes. A like is, you know, always appreciated on these videos. It helps get it boosted up, and maybe some more people will know that it's on sale. Plus, it helps my channel. So thank you, guys. I hope you have a good day. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.